Hello and welcome back. If you're new to my channel, I'd like to welcome you. My name is Yvette Quale and I like to create craft tutorials for junk journaling, beadwork, paper crafting, and more. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to make a beautiful boho bead. This is a bead club project for NJJM Creative Tutorials and More, which is a Facebook group. And we have different clubs that we're starting. We're going to have a bead club, an ATC AT coin club, and a scrap and glue club. So those are the ones that we have started so far, and people have come forward and said that they will head up or lead. And I'm going to be doing the bead club. So the first Monday of every month, I'm going to post on my YouTube channel a tutorial that has to do with some sort of beaded project. And then the idea is that you have joined NJJM Creative Tutorials and More. I'll put a link in the description box. And then you go to that page, you go to the events within that page, you find the bead club event, and there'll be a video link in there. You watch the video and then post projects that you've created after watching the video. So there's also going to be within that event an open swap, which means once you post your made item, if you want to swap it with someone, you work that out amongst yourselves. There's no partnering up, there's nobody leading it, there's nobody really monitoring it, so it's an honor system. And anyway, that's what we're doing over there. It's going to be a lot of fun. So let's walk through our finished project and then I'll start on the tutorial. So the first thing we're going to look at here is the bead. At the top here I have a bulb pin. I've got some wire, and then we've got a small bead, a large bead, goes down through a paper core, and then a large bead, a small bead. There's more wire because we're going to come back. And then we have some eyelash yarn, some textured yarn, and then seed beads that I've wrapped around it. So it's a real fun project. You can add them to your junk journals. You can hang it on your purse, hang it on your rearview mirror in your car, put it on a curtain in your home. There's lots of different things you can do with it. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what we need for the project here. Let me scoot my beads over. So we're going to need some seed beads, we're going to need some beading thread and needles, we're going to need wire, and the wire that I've used in this project is 22 gauge. I have about 2 feet of the wire that I have doubled and folded in half, so I have it there. I've gone ahead and pre-strung this so that we can move ahead with the tutorial. But basically what it is a piece of paper. I had this paper pad here, which is 4.5 by 7.25. And so I just took a piece of that paper, tore it out of my pad, and then just started rolling it up like this. And then when you get it all rolled up, then you're going to square it off here, make sure that the ends are even. And you're going to put a little bead of glue down here. You're going to glue it down. Now I went ahead and made one for the tutorial because I didn't want to sit here like this while my glue was drying. I've also gone ahead for the video and pre-strung the seed beads onto my beaded thread. And then I have 2 needles on there, one on each end. But I'm going to show you when we get to that part how you can do that with just 1 needle, or you can use the 2 needle method, either way. So what we're going to do is we're going to start, and you kind of have to think a little bit backwards. You're going to thread, starting with the 2 ends here, the tail ends, not the rounded end at the other end. You're going to put on a small bead, a large bead, the paper core, a large bead, and a small bead. So you want to make sure that the large beads are large enough that they don't go through that hole of the paper. So you're going to leave about 2.5 inches down here at the bottom. We're going to take the bottom part here and we're going to curl. Now first of all, we want these to be even. Let's go ahead and cut these so that they're even. And then we're going to take this and we're just going to kind of pull it up, and I literally just, that's how I did it, was you just kind of have to mess with it a little bit. And I put those right back up into that bottom bead there, like this. Okay. And then I just took my pliers, and you can use your pliers or you can use your hands, whichever works best for you. and I just kind of twisted it like this. Okay. And depending on how you want that to look, you just kind of twist and turn until you get it how you want it to look. So as you can see on mine, it's just kind of random and curled up, and I kind of like that look. So that's what I'm going to do here as well. So we're just going to do that. We're going to make sure that that goes down through that small bead. Then you're going to have your big bead. You're going to come down with your 2 beads in your core. Okay, and then up here, we're going to make a loop by taking our pliers. You want to have about 1.5 inches there is what I found to be a good number. And I just kind of bent this around and then brought it down like this. And I kind of made a little loop like this, as you can see here. I made a loop like that. And then I just brought this down with my pliers, kind of curled it on itself like this, and brought this down. So this is probably the most nerve-wracking part, because you're going to start wrapping this wire. So you got to kind of wrap it around that wire to kind of secure it at the top there. And it's going to be different every time, and that's fine. So we're just going to start. You're going to come down and you're just going to kind of turn it counterclockwise is what I found to be the best or easiest, because I'm right-handed. Maybe it's different if you're left-handed, but I just kind of came around like this. Now you could put the fibers on there first if you wanted, but I kind of wanted that wire hidden. I didn't want it exposed on the one I made, but however you want to do it is completely up to you. So this part here, we're just going to wrap until we get here between these beads. And I just kind of wrap that around, grab my pliers, twisted it, and just kept wrapping until that kind of disappeared in there. Okay. So like this. And you could even bring this up if you wanted and, you know, do it some more there if you didn't want such a long tail on it. It's going to depend on kind of what you do and kind of, honestly, how it just kind of goes. So I don't think you could be a perfectionist when you make a boho bead. So let's go ahead and see if we can bend this up a little. I'm sure there's a very technical technique for this, but I just do sometimes. You know, just do. So I think I like this more in there like that. And then you can just straighten that up as you need. And there you have the base of the bead. So this is still, you can feel it's a little wobbly, and that's okay. It's not too bad. You want that cinched up. As long as that's cinched up, you'll be good. The wire, you know, because this is a paper core, it's not going to be really tight on there, but that's fine because we're going to cover it up. So what I did next was I put the biggest fiber on there, the fluffy stuff here that you see. So I'm going to go ahead and start with that. And again, I'm sure there's a wonderful technique out there somewhere in the world, but this is how I did it. I just kind of wrapped it around and tied it a couple times. And then I just took that tail and tucked it down like this. And I just simply started wrapping around the bead. So as you can see, it kind of, and you can go back and forth. I didn't really stick to any real pattern. If I needed to go back and fill something in, I just did. But so see here, if we go like this and you can see a space there and you don't like it, you just go back and cover it. So that's the cool thing about this that I found, was that I didn't necessarily have to be perfect on it. So I think the more imperfect it is, the better it's going to look. So which is good, because yeah. Anyways, we're going to continue to wrap that around, So I tried to figure out a way to do this and not have to have you painstakingly sit there watching me wrap yarn, but there's no real way. So about in the middle, I started to do this and just twirl it because it became easier than wrapping it around. So leave that up to you how you get it on there, but the idea is to get it on there. Okay, almost done here. All right, so we're going to get to the bottom here. And this part, I just literally wrapped it around and around and around and around. And then when I cut it off, just cut it off there. And I kind of took it around and just, how did I do that? You know, took it around, made a loop like this, and then just pulled it through. I did that a couple times just to get it secured on there. And then we're going to go ahead and put the next part on, which is going to be the eyelash yarn. So I just kind of tucked that in again and as I went around. So now with the eyelash yarn, we're going to go ahead and start doing that. And same kind of thing. Now you could start at the bottom and go up and kind of tie a bow. That might be kind of cool. So let's try that. I didn't do that on the other one, but I don't know. Idea just popped in my head, so I'm going with it. So we're going to take this and just tie it around here, tie a couple knots. Okay. Make that a little shorter. Hold that up here like this along with that tail. And then just start wrapping that around. Now this one I didn't go as open with it or as tight with it because I wanted it to be a little bit more open, but it depends on how fluffy you want it to be and how much of that base yarn you want to have show through. So I think it's just interesting to kind of let the other yarn show through as well. We're just going to wrap that around, and then at the top again I just took that, cut that off, pulled that thread around, eyelash yarn I found is very hard to find the end. And go up in there again. Now you could even, if you wanted it to be very secure, you could take a needle and thread that end. You know, you'd have to have more of an end and just thread that end and go back down in there. But we're going to wrap some beads around here, so I'm just going to cut that off like this. Okay, and then our beads, what I did there was I went ahead and started out. Now, you know, like I said, I thread these on here so that it's going to be easier for us in the tutorial, but I just started with a blank piece of thread, no beads on there, and I just came up like this, pulled it in, and tied a knot in there a couple times like that, and did that again. And then I went through kind of some of the fibers there to the other side and just tied that off. Now I'm using white thread here so that you guys can see what I'm doing. On the other one over here, I did use a colored thread just to hide that a little bit better. But you could definitely use white thread if that's what you have. And then just go in there, and I kind of wove it down a little bit through the fibers and cut that end off. So that's, you know, you could definitely do it pre-strung like I did here, or if you just tied on the thread, then you just start putting your beads on. All right, so we have our beads on there, got fibers all over the place. So if you're a perfectionist, this will be a challenge for you. It was for me. All right, so we're going to go ahead and our thread is taut there, and then you're just going to take and start wrapping those beads around like this. And I just literally, that's how I put them on there. So just wrap them around. It's going to depend on how you want it, how far apart you want it spaced, how you want it to look. That's all up to you. So yeah, I could have even done pre-strung more beads. Now when we get to the bottom here, I do like to tack that down before going back up so that you don't have a loop down here that's not going to stay. So I just again went through the fibers there, kind of pull that. You want to make sure you don't have any thread showing. Just kind of look around at those beads, make sure you don't have any thread showing and have enough beads on there. And then just go ahead and go up in there and tie a knot. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and put some more beads on. So this is how I'm a scooper. So some people are scoopers and some people are pop them on there like this. So if you're going to pop them on one at a time, you put your needle on the portion that's closest to you and just kind of push down, and they'll go right on there. So little trick there. So I like how our beads coming together here. It's kind of nice. So like I said, I'm a scooper, and again, you want to have quite a pile of beads here. I don't even have enough. I usually have about 4 times this amount, but I have other things going on my tray and on my camera, and I didn't want to mess everything up and have the beads go flying. So I usually have about 4 times this amount on here so that when I'm scooping, I have a nice pile. And then you'll want to come in every so often and scoop them up, you know, have a little mound of beads there so that it's easier to scoop those on. So go ahead, and I use the little stubby needles. I will put links in the description box where you can find needles and thread and beads. But these are actually very good for applique work, but I like using them rather than the long needles. So yeah, if you want to definitely use a longer needle, then go for it, because it'll put a lot more beads on a lot faster. So one thing you do want to do when you're looking, and I'm an experienced beader, so I do know how you know how to eyeball this, but you kind of want to look on there, make sure that you don't have any kind of wonky beads. It's not really important in this project because, you know, the imperfections, but if it's too much of an angle, you will see the thread and it doesn't look too good. So just keep that in mind when you're going along. Okay, let's see how much we have here. So what I did there is I started back up and I just kind of went over the top of these, you know, like crisscross. So, yep, that's enough. Okay, so then what we're going to do is put that needle in again through those fibers. Just kind of pull it through, make sure it's secure really well. And then off on the side, we're going to go ahead and tie our knot. So I tie one knot to secure it, and then I'll go ahead and tie a couple double knots there. So you just go through front to back again, and make sure that that loop is up like that. And you do the same thing again. Make sure that if you're doing a double knot, see how this gets wrapped around? You want to make sure that you're coming up through the same way both times. because if you go the other way, it'll just come right off. So you just want to make sure that both times you're coming up through the same manner, and then you're just going to pull that down and anchor it. So I'll do that again to show you how. Just pull it through like this, make a small loop. You want to make sure that that's flat, you know, doesn't have a twist in it. See right here where there's this twist? You want to make sure you get that twist out. So you just come up and come up again. And then you're going to pull that and anchor it down. Then we're going to just weave through here, kind of go to the other side and tie a couple knots over there. So I'm with knots like I am with glue, I think, as far as securing and anchoring it on this project anyway. So go ahead and pull those through, and then you're just going to cut that off. Okay, and there it is, our completed project. I like how it turned out. And okay, I like it. So yeah, you guys want to join in on the challenge, please do. And again, I'll put the link to the NJJM Creative Tutorials and More Facebook group. Please join us. It's a lot of fun. We're learning a lot of new things. And thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't to my channel and hit the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.